Again?
So, as you can see, I am not the best at video games, but there are some that I will obsessively play mainly because it just looks so pretty. I am a sucker for games with unique art styles, so although I know I will struggle, I will suffer through these games if it means that I can admire the pretty artwork. So, considering that I, as an artist, needs to practice with style studies and character design, I was inspired to merge these two interests of mine. So, I present the first video in this series that I'm calling Console to Canvas. I will be first studying a game's art style and then using that style to create a new character for that game's universe. And along with these art style studies and character design work, I'm going to use this opportunity to just yap away about my personal experiences playing these games throughout the years. So hope you don't mind. Hades was such an obvious first choice for me because I've already done a style study and some fan art from this series before. Hades was my first roguelike, so I definitely started off real strong for this genre from what I've seen other people say about this game. I think it's widely recognized that this game is an absolute masterclass for this genre. But besides the excellent gameplay, I was definitely hooked from the get-go when I heard that this is based off of characters from the Greek mythology stories. So a striking art style plus Greek mythology, you know I bought this game immediately when I heard about it. And I'll be honest, I still have not fully beaten this game. Like I said, I'm not the best skill-wise when it comes to games like this, but I still deeply appreciate this game no matter how many times Asterius and Theseus destroy me. But luckily, this is one I can come back to again and again after putting it down for a while, so I'm hoping with more time I'll be able to finally get to some of the endings. So getting into the art study, I'm starting by compiling a mood board and first just observing the details of the art style and direction. Overall, what I noticed from this art style the most were the following: thick line art, dark shadows, and muted base colors with saturated highlights. These features give Hades that striking comic book-like style. And with characters as dynamic as the Greek gods and heroes, I think this was a brilliant art direction by Supergiant. I also read through this great article which goes into incredible depth analyzing this game and what inspired this art style. Also, this YouTuber tomhUK's channel has been an incredible resource as well. He's been killing it with the art analysis videos. I'll put both of these in the description below if you're interested. So now that I have effectively studied the Hades game art style, let's now move on to the second step, character design. The goal for this is to emulate the Hades style for this new character I create so it looks like they exist in the game's universe. I like to start this process by compiling a mood board for the character I have in mind to give me a sense of direction for the character. And since a lot of the characters in Hades represent a concept, such as Thanatos, who represents death, and Nyx, who represents night, I wanted to take a similar approach but for the concept of dreams. And I decided to take it a step further and wanted to create two contrasting twin characters similar to Apollo and Artemis. So these two character designs will represent two different types of dreaming, sleeping dreams and daydreams. So for the first character, I decided to create a design for Morpheus. Now, this is an existing Greek god who is part of a group called the Oneiroi, the personification of dreams. The myths say that he is the son of Hypnos, but I like to think he's Hypnos' brother and co-worker. So while he is an existing character in the Greek mythos, he does not appear in the Hades games. So my idea, if Morpheus was included in the Hades games, he would work alongside Hypnos as the god of dreams and assign dreams to people after Hypnos puts them to sleep. And this also reminded me of the Roald Dahl book as a kid, if any of y'all have read it, called the BFG, where the giant is a dream collector and puts them into jars. So for the overall vibe I decided on for Morpheus was obviously, well, dreamy. So I decided on sleek flowing hair and flowing robes to represent the hazy, forgetful nature that dreams can be. I also took a lot of inspiration from Hypnos' design, considering they are related and their roles go hand in hand. I also decided to match Hypnos' quill and scroll as well to show that they work together and that Morpheus also has to do administrative work assigning dreams to the right people after catching them. I incorporated poppies in his design as well to continue that theme of sleep that is needed for Morpheus just to do his thing. And to continue with the hazy, dreamy vibe, I experimented with some smoke shapes surrounding him because I like to think he moves like smoke, moving around easily, kind of like how Hades does in the Disney Hercules movie. For line art, I used a dry ink brush in Procreate and chose a nearly black color. I started blocking off shadows to create that classic Hades look. I also noticed that the Hades art style had a lot of slight hatching lines throughout, so I incorporated that as well. For color, I kept the indigo dark purplish shoe, which I thought was a great contrasting color to the bright red poppies and his orange quill, which is the same colors as Hypnos's. Shading for the Hades style is pretty simple, but effective. It is pretty straightforward shading with the lighter transition color on the edges to add more visual interest. And then the classic saturated highlights, which work surprisingly well to give more life to these characters. And here is Morpheus, the god of sleeping dreams. I like to imagine if he was in the game, he floats around alongside Hypnos, welcoming Zagreus every time he returns to the underworld. I also like to think that he doesn't get along too well with Hypnos, mainly because he needs him to do his job, and Hypnos is just always sleeping and slacking off. Now for the second character I had in mind, which represents the concept of daydreaming. When researching, I didn't see any existing myths for a character representing this concept, so this is my take on a brand new character. This is Fantheia, the goddess of daydreams. Twin sister to Morpheus who shapes dreams when sleeping, this goddess reigns over dreams while awake. She exists in that liminal space between focus and wandering thoughts, and I like to think she is worshipped by creatives such as poets, inventors, and artists who go to her to seek inspiration. So with this character, I decided she is practically the twin sister to Morpheus. So I decided to have contrasting colors and for her to represent more of a daylight aesthetic. I also wanted to show a flowy, dreamlike design like I was doing with Morpheus, but give her more cloud-like shapes instead of smoke. Since Fantheia operates when humans are awake, and to play on the phrase, having your head in the clouds, I thought cloud imagery was perfect for her. Also, as a contrast to Morpheus, I wanted to include some flower imagery and was thinking, what is the opposite to poppies? So a quick search recommended bluebells, which symbolize imagination and is tied to fairy lore. Apparently, fairies like to fall asleep within the flower because it's very dome-shaped. And similar to Morpheus, I like the concept that you have to catch these dreams before being able to assign them to people. So I kept the same spirit concepts, like bringing her these dreams, but instead of them being physical dreams, then being more like inspirations instead, which then need to be converted by Fantheia into daydreams. I thought her having a more active role in shaping the daydreams made more sense since we have more control over daydreams compared to dreams when we are sleeping. For her color palette, I went with soft pastel colors to represent imagination. I also incorporated light purple and bluish tones to keep her connected to Morpheus's color scheme. Along with her bluebell forehead band, I gave her some pearl accessories to align with that fluffy, cloudy aesthetic and a shimmery golden shawl to give some contrast to the rest of her color palette. And here is Fantheia, the goddess of waking dreams, aka daydreams. I think if she was in the Hades games, she would be one of the gods that grant you boons on your runs, and she would give you the ability to summon cloud minions to help you fight temporarily, kind of like creating imaginary friends. So here is the two twin OC designs for the Hades game universe. I'm pretty happy with how these designs turned out. I definitely learned a lot about studying this art style and excited to incorporate some of these techniques I learned into my own art style as well. And now, to further incorporate these two into the game, thank you for tuning into my first video in this series. Super excited to continue studying different video game art styles and share my process with you all. While I have some more planned in the pipeline, if you have any favorite games you would like me to consider for a future video, leave your suggestion in the comments. Thanks for watching, and until next time!